So another track on the album is Gold Rush, which was a collaboration with Brooks Brothers.
Yeah.
And I understand you used Ozone quite a bit on this track.
Yeah, we started the track in the Brooks Brothers studio in South London, and they used Cubase, and basically they were using Ozone on all the drum buses, all on the master output as well. They basically heavily limit quite a lot of their parts, but I wanted to mix it down myself because it was like it was a tune for my album. Not that they can't mix stuff down, you know, they're some of the best mix downs in drum and bass, but the mix down needed to fit in with my other tracks, so it was just decided that I would have a go at doing the mix. So I brought all the stem parts back into Logic, because obviously they were using Cubase, so a lot of the stems were already kind of like limited, and Ozone just kind of like my usual kind of limiter of choice is the add limiter. In Logic, before I got Ozone, I was just using the add limiter, and that still is good for certain things, and it adds a lot of brightness and does something with the harmonics, and sometimes that's really cool. But the great thing about Ozone when we started using that is its transparency. It doesn't add anything, any artifacts to the kind of master output. It just does its job and kind of keeps the levels in check.
You mentioned something about using the intelligent mode in the limiter.
Yeah.
What is it you like about that?
It's just the speed of it, the reaction, because drum and bass is so fast music. You know, you need it. You know, you need the limiter to be constantly looking forward. Say on a track like this, when the bass comes in, the limiter needs to react straight away. Otherwise, if it's doing it slightly later, you know, not looking ahead, it kind of creates that pumping feel. You know, it's going to damage the sound in a way that you don't want. So it's just like that adds to the transparency of the plugin, and you know that all the levels just remain constant and it reacts at the right times.
You're also saying that you actually use Ozone a little bit before you send stuff out to be mastered.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like the rule of thumb was a few years ago, was kind of you do a mastered version yourself where you kind of over limiting stuff, you're making it over fat for playing out, because you know when stuff's getting cut to a dub plate, they're not doing any mastering there, it's just whack the tune on, cut it. Or you know, even more now with the CD generation, you know, it's got to be as loud as it can possibly be, so you're just doing quick mastering on it. But that kind of like, and then you would send an unmastered version to the cutting house because they know how to master it properly and get it louder. But I think as the techniques have moved on and the kind of sound of drum and bass now in the last few years, you need that limiting on the output. It creates part of the energy. I actually send my actual mastered versions that I do at home, and the ones I've been playing out, to be cut now, as I would have never done that a few years ago, because when you take it off, you kind of you've got more dynamics, but you lose a bit of that energy. It's kind of like a drug, the loudness thing, and you want one more hit. It's a tricky thing, but you know, if I don't have it on there, I'm scared that the master engineer won't replace that energy that I had in the version that I was playing out. So it's kind of a fine line.
Yeah. Is there a point where it's too much? Do you have to be careful about how much you...
Yeah, of course. Yeah. What I've been doing is actually doing a version which is heavily limited and then easing back a little bit off it, and that will be the master that I send out. I mean, it just depends. If the track cuts well and it doesn't sound overly limited, then I'll send that one off for mastering.
Yeah.
But I always think that I've overdone it at the time. And then I'll come back and listen, and I think, no, that's fine. You know, because your ears are just kind of so sensitive to your own productions. That's why it's hard to master your own stuff.